Just 2 weeks to go in the regular season. Week 16 making that playoff picture a little clearer here on Game Day Recap. I'm Haley Sutton. So after an epic weekend of action in the NFL, the Sunday slate delivered for some. The Bills keeping their AFC East hopes alive with a win over Cleveland, while the Panthers stand strong in the South with a statement win. You can make it 3 straight for the Saints, by the way, and 45 points for Joe Burrow's Bengals. However, the streak ends at 11 for the Mile High in what we thought was going to be the game of the day. And it did bring the fireworks, but boy, oh boy, not the same way that the Steelers-Lions game certainly set the tone for what Week 16 looked like. Welcome you into our CBS Sports HQ studios. Haley Sutton, we've got the Grinch, Pete Prisco.
It's Christmas week. I'm Santa Claus. What are you talking about?
You are not Santa Claus. Oh, my goodness. Okay, we'll see. We'll see how long that lasts. You guys keep me accountable on this desk to see how long Jovial Pete lasts.
Come on.
We've got our GM, Carthon, joining us here, and our running back, Damien Harris. I always do that, but you guys both played running back, so I need to introduce you both accordingly.
Yeah, but he's no more for being a GM than
Fair.
he was a running back. No offense.
I ain't even, hey, you see, I didn't even give him no airtime, huh? No airtime.
And what position
No
did you play?
airtime. No airtime.
We are already there. We are already there.
There we
Well, let's continue the controversial conversation, shall
Jovial
we?
Pete gone already.
There it is, right there. It took about 30 seconds. When we talk about controversy, the end of this game certainly had us thinking. The Lions driving here, you see the score, 29-24. Jared Goff finds Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's some flags flying. He eventually flips the ball over to Jared Goff. Jared Goff gets in the end zone, but note the clock. There's no time on the clock. This was called offensive pass interference. You see it there, Amon-Ra with a two-hand shove, so it's pass interference. The referee eventually saying that because there was no more time on the clock and there's no more, the game was done, the Steelers go on to win this one. Not the first time Aaron Rodgers has been involved in a wild win in Detroit. Of course, the 2015 miracle in Motown, and then again 2019, the field goal as time expired for them to clinch the NFC 2 seed, and then of course the offensive pass interference calls there. So here is what that NFC playoff picture looks like right now. We still have a handful of games to go here in Week 16, but things moved around. This looks a lot different than it did a week ago. You got the Seahawks on top, 12-3, a big win over the Rams, which as a result pushed the Rams into that wild card spot. Big news here, though, the Lions still in the hunt. The Panthers and the Bucs do a swap, and the 49ers also in that playoff conversation. So again, a lot of moving parts. But fellas, let's go to that controversial pass interference call there. I know that the Lions weren't happy with the call, Pete, but ultimately it was the right call on the field. What did you think about how the game ended?
It's the right call. He pushed off. I mean, he pushed off. He made a great, by the way, he made a great play to lateral the ball to Jared Goff. And you see the Pittsburgh Steelers defenders standing around, looking around, not making a play. The game's not over until it's over. And if it was time left on the clock, that would have been a touchdown, then would have got another shot at it. So you can't end on a pass interference penalty. You can't end it on an offensive game. You can't end a game on an offensive penalty, so game over. And look, it's a tough loss for the Lions in a lot of ways. They're done, by the way.
No, I want to toss it back to you, Pete, because you made a great point as we were watching the game. It didn't have to come down to this.
No.
Yeah, give him his flowers.
So let me get the ball.
Come on now.
And I'm going to toss it back to you and just explain to them why it should not have ended this way.
4th and 3, early in the game, down 3-0. Dan Campbell, I hate field goals, decided to not kick the field goal, went for it, pass was incomplete. Well, had they had that field goal late in the game, they would have only needed a field goal to win the game. And so if you look back at everybody will say, well, there was a lot of game left and everything. I get it. But the reality is, at some point, you got to start taking those field goals because you're going to need those points. And ultimately, he needed those points.
I just think it takes me back to a time when I was at Alabama, and we always preach, you want every possession to end with a kick, whether it's a field goal, whether it's a punt, whether it's changing hands from one team to another. You don't want to be so aggressive that you take yourself out of the game in crucial moments. And, you know, yes, it was early, but this is a sign of every play has a life of its own, and each single one has an impact on the game. That was a costly mistake early in the game that I'm sure he'll look over going into the next game and wish he had, you know, potentially made a different decision. But it just, that offensive philosophy, I'm always thinking in the possession with a kick. You say it all the time. It's okay to kick. It's okay to punt. It's okay to play the field position game or just take 3 points instead of always looking for 7.
I mean, and you got a kicker with a huge leg.
Right.
And he's a weapon.
Right.
And you're kicking indoors.
Correct.
And so take advantage of that, like you said, in the drive with a kick, but more importantly, just take the points. So at some point in the game, in the latter part of the game, you're not chasing points. You're not not trying to make up for those field goals that you didn't take or whatever the case may be, just take the points. It's okay.
And I go back to what I've said a lot about Dan Campbell. Look, when he first started coaching with the Lions, they were a bad team, and he could be aggressive, and he needed to be aggressive, and it was great. But you became a good team, and you didn't necessarily need to do that all the time. And right now, because of the game like today, they're now probably going to miss out on the postseason. I'm not going to say that one play caused that because they were bad on defense the entire game. But the reality is, one more victory by the Green Bay Packers, and the Lions are done. And so you look at it, you were a good team. You went into the season, you had a lot of injuries, but you were a good team. A lot of people picked them to go to the Super Bowl, and now they're going to be out.
Yeah, it's so wild the way, and Jim Nantz said it on the broadcast. Like, what a wild year in the NFL
Crazy.
we're seeing just across the board here in terms of teams. You talk about frustrations for the Lions. There were some frustrations for the Steelers as well. DK Metcalf getting a little chippy in the stands. I believe we've got the video as well. So this happened in the first quarter of the first half of this game, I should say. DK having an interaction with a fan and then punching him in the face. The Detroit Free Press did talk to this fan. His name is Ryan Kennedy. They reported, he said, quote, "My words don't matter," because it was on camera. He's referring to the punch there with his hand. It also, they go on to say, when initially asked what his name was, he said, "My name is biggest Detroit Lions fan ever." This guy's clearly a troll, guys, but ultimately, Damien, the action here that's going to get punished is that. It's the punch in the face. Regardless of what fans are saying to you, you can't react the way DK did.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you're put in this position, I mean, DK is a guy that makes a lot of money. He's a superstar. He's an NFL. He's a fan favorite. People love this guy. When you're on that kind of platform, you can't make those kind of mistakes because the public eye, the public perception, you're always going to be in the wrong. So now it's your word versus a fan's word. And all we saw on TV, we couldn't hear what was said. We don't know what the fan may have said to provoke him, but all we saw was superstar NFL wide receiver DK Metcalf punch a fan. That's going to be a headline everywhere. It's going to be a story everywhere. It's almost like it's going to be a stain that might follow DK for a little while because, you know, your on the field actions from player to player, that's one thing. But once you start getting into it with the fans, that's a bad look on the entire organization as a whole. Mike Tomlin, the owners, he represents everybody in that moment. And that was just a very, very poor choice of decision making.
Speaking of Mike Tomlin, he did have a chance to react to that. So let's go ahead and listen into Mike Tomlin post game.
I heard about it, but I hadn't seen it, and I hadn't had an opportunity to talk to DK, and so I have no comment.
I mean, that is just Mike Tomlin as Mike Tomlin gets.
But I mean,
we could have left that out.
Well, tomorrow when you address it, it's going to become an issue again, and then it will continue to become an issue. And look, that's the reality of it. There are a lot of things in sports that are tolerated. On the field, you mentioned on the field, fights, whatever. But going into the stands or hitting a fan, you cannot have that happen. And I can tell you this from over the years being around this league, that's the one thing the league will not tolerate. I don't care what's said, and granted, he might have said something that he probably deserved to get punched, but you still can't go into the crowd and hit a fan. And the league will not tolerate that. I would be shocked if he's not suspended for this.
Yeah, listen, hold on. Let me just collect myself because first of all, why were you even over there?
Worried about the wrong stuff.
Regardless of what was going on, what was being said, why were you over there? And then I follow that up, where was team security? Because you have all these people on the sideline that protect you or that should be there to protect the players, to stay between them and the fans. You have stadium security, you have team security. Where were these people when this was going on? And so, like you said, it should not have happened regardless of what the fan may or may not have said. And Haley, you said it, this guy was a troll. And this will not end well, right? Because like Pete said, DK is going to face some sort of reprimand from the league, whether it's a fine, suspension. But then I will bet that this guy is going to follow up with some form of a civil suit because for you to come out as a fan already speaking to the media, doing interviews, giving your name, this is what this guy lives for. And now you're adding to this. And on the flip side of it, now Mike Tomlin's going to be asked about it. Aaron Rodgers is going to be asked about it. Everyone on your team has to answer for your actions in a situation that you should not have been over there.
It didn't look like that was the guy's seat either. That's an aisle, and he's down there. So it's almost like he came down from another seat to specifically do that and taunt him. So it's a bad look all the way around, but nobody has a worse look right now than DK Metcalf.
In reading this report from the Detroit Free Press, it says that the fan was hanging over some sort of Steelers gear over a railing there, and that's what DK, I guess, went to check out. But either way, all of you guys have said it, regardless of what the reasoning was. Your face says it all. Don't be going over there and hanging out with the fans. It's certainly going to be an interesting finish in that division as well when it comes to the Steelers and fighting for that top spot. We do want to get you to a updated score on Sunday Night Football. And normally we kind of just watch this. We don't really talk about Sunday Night Football, but we have to today for two reasons. Number one, the New England Patriots looking to bounce back from that loss to the Bills. They are already down 7-0 to the Ravens, who, remember, the Ravens have been on this roller coaster season. They're also trying to get into the postseason. So early on, the Ravens are up. It was a Derrick Henry rushing touchdown that has the Ravens leading the Patriots 7-0. Got to hit a break here in Game Day Recap. Plenty to talk about when you come back. Welcome back to Game Day Recap. In one of the most anticipated games of the weekend, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars who leave the Mile High with a big win over the current #1 seed in the AFC, the Denver Broncos. That means that 11-game win streak ends at 11 games for Denver. As you take a look at the numbers, I do want to talk about Trevor Lawrence quickly here. 4 total touchdowns, no turnovers. The 4th player all time with 10 or more total touchdowns and no turnovers across a 2-game span. Of course, he's coming off that big win over the Jets last week, but still stats matter because this is how the playoff picture is currently shaping out. We just talked about the Ravens. They are currently leading the Patriots 7-0 on Sunday Night Football. The Colts in action tomorrow against the Niners. We did see the Texans and the Bills and the Chargers all get wins today. But certainly it all goes back to Trevor Lawrence and how well he has been playing over the last couple of weeks. I don't want to say the MVP because there's been a lot of good play, but over these last couple of weeks, Trevor Lawrence has certainly done some special things. Back here on our CBS Sports HQ studio set, Pete, Rand, Damien, Haley. Let's talk about the Jaguars, Pete. This is interesting because we talked last week, 2 quarterbacks who over the last few weeks or so have really been trying to prove that they can do something and carry these teams because of the narratives that they've earned just over the last few years or so. But when you watch this Jaguars team play, all we hear is about this Broncos defense and how difficult of a test it's going to be. How did the Jaguars come away with the win, and how did they, I guess, change your mentality about them with the last 2 weeks still to go?
Well, Trevor Lawrence has changed a lot of people's thinking on him in the last 5 weeks. He's got 20 touchdowns, counting 2 rushing touchdowns and 3 turnovers in that span. I mean, early in the season, there were questions about him. We sat here, we all did, and we all questioned, was he the franchise quarterback? Was he worth the money? He wasn't playing well. He wasn't taking the shots down the field. He was taking checkdowns. His eye level came down. His mechanics were bad. They had drop passes. And all of a sudden, at one point, Liam Cohen brought him into his office and he told him, turn it loose. Just turn it loose. And since then, they've turned it loose. But a lot of those games were against bad defenses. You go on the road against Denver and put up the numbers he did today, and that sends a message to everybody, look, I am for real, this offense is for real, and we're going to be dangerous come playoff time.
And on top of that, they did that while being sacked 5 times. So the Broncos defense still got after Trevor Lawrence, but he's just still got up and kept making those plays. And to Pete's point, he's just turning the football loose. It doesn't look like he's trying to process too much. He's just seeing a read and he's letting the football go. And we saw that with Parker Washington today, who went for over 150 yards, had a touchdown. I mean, he played phenomenal. And it's good that the Jags are starting to add these pass catchers, right? They go out and they get Jacoby Myers. Then you get Parker Washington stepping up. You're still waiting for BTJ to really cement himself as a wide receiver 1. But when Trevor Lawrence is playing as tough and as poised as he is, and then your pass catchers start to show up, that's when this offense gets dangerous. And I'm one of those people. You want to talk about people who have talked bad about Trevor Lawrence and his play as of recently? I've been one of those people. I want to give him his flowers because he's played top-notch football down the stretch when it matters the most.
We love accountability on Game Day Recap.
He's playing with the most confidence I think I've ever seen him play with in his career. When he's out there on the field, I think he expects to make plays now. And he's not playing to just keep his team in it. He's playing to win on every single drive. And we're starting to see that athleticism show up more and more with his ability to elude in the pocket and move around and extend those plays and create those plays for Parker Washington downfield, because you saw those when he was able to escape the pocket or move up in the pocket. But the level that he's playing at right now is just, I hadn't seen it probably since he was at Clemson in the way he's playing. And you just love where this Jacksonville Jaguars team is. And, you know, there couldn't be anyone more proud of this team than Pete. We know you're the resident homer of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Not a homer. Not a homer.
So what do you call it?
You could ask people in Jacksonville, I'm a homer. They'll tell you exactly, no, he's not.
They might call you a goober.
You know, the other thing, you went to school in Gainesville. There's a lot of goobers in Gainesville. By the way, when you look at the start of the game, he was 1 for 3 on the first 2 drives with 2 sacks. And it looked bad. He looked bad in the beginning of that game, and he responded to it. Want to throw one shout out to a guy. I know offensive linemen never get their flowers. Cole Van Lanen. He started at 4 different spots, and he settled in at left tackle. And you know what Nick Benito, who has a ton of sacks and is in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, did today? 2 tackles. 2 tackles. He did not get a sack in the game.
You were asking everybody where Nick Benito was all day.
It was a no-show because that guy who has moved in as the starting left tackle did a really good job.
Look, I know we only have 2 weeks left in the season, so it feels like there's only so much more they can prove, and then when you look at the schedule as well. But in terms of this Jaguars team, Trevor Lawrence playing the best ball that we've seen him play. He's got 26 total touchdowns this year. That's the most he's ever had in his career. You're shouting out offensive linemen at this point. You saw the defense disrupt Bo Nix, and we know that Bo has been a roller coaster. 6-game win streak, all these positive things happening in Jacksonville right now. Damien, are you convinced, because that's the thing with these 2 teams specifically, I'm not going to pigeonhole you the way we did. But I'm going to ask it in a different way, so he has to answer me.
Okay.
When you look at Jacksonville specifically, is this a team that you feel confident in that could win a Super Bowl if the dice laid how they needed to, if they fell how they needed to?
Not yet.
Okay, what's holding you back?
Not yet. I just haven't seen it enough. And yes, they've won a couple games in a row, and yes, they put it together. But I want to see more. Trevor Lawrence, the way he's playing, we've expected this for a very, very long time. Just because we get it in a small sample size doesn't mean I'm ready to just jump on the bandwagon and start saying Duval is going to be Super Bowl champions. I'm not there yet, but I am impressed with where this team is going. And I think that, Pete, you mentioned this. If the Patriots lose this game, that means the Jaguars go to number 2 in the AFC, right? There's a potential, if the Broncos lose a couple games, they might end up tying with the Broncos, and then they take the number 1 seed. So then you've got a home route throughout the playoffs. This team can be dangerous.
And it's in a year where there's no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow, and if the Ravens,
potentially no Lamar.
Yeah, I mean, it's wide open. Anybody can win it, and they can too.
They believe they can. Liam Cohen believes that they can. There was a little bit of beef between Liam and Sean Payton earlier this week. Sean Payton referring to Jacksonville as a small market. Here's what Liam had to say about that big win to Sean Payton after the game.
Yeah, great team effort. Just thankful that, a small market team like us can come into a place like Mile High and get it done.
I love Petty, and Liam Cohen's really growing on me, you guys. Just the level that he has coached at this year. Real quick, because I know we got to wrap up, but what have you thought of Liam and the clap back there from him?
It's great to see it, and he's defensive about it, and he should be. They've been defensive about it since 1995 when they came into the league. In 1996, they went there. A columnist wrote a column called Jagwads. He called them Jagwads the entire column. You know what they did? They went in there and upset Elway, 16.5-point underdogs. This is a proving game for this group.
Was that your column?
No. Okay. It was actually Woody Page. You remember Woody Page?
Oh, okay.
It was Woody Page wrote that column.
All right. Well, there you have it. Before we go, just quickly on this Broncos team, the streak had to end eventually, right? Like the 11 games was so impressive. Rand, I know that similar to the Jaguars, it still feels like we're not quite convinced that the Broncos can be the team to lift the Lombardi. If you're Sean Payton, you're going back into practice this week. What are the biggest adjustments at this point of the season that the Broncos need to make?
It's just resetting. You're resetting, like you said, it had to end at some point, and now we know it's over. We don't have to worry about how long it can go. But now it's resetting and getting Bo Nix back where he was playing his best ball when his feet were calm in the pocket, going back to the fundamentals that got him to where he was, because we saw him turn the ball over today. We hadn't seen that in recent weeks, and that's when they were still on that streak and he was playing some of his best ball. So it's just resetting, getting back to the fundamentals, and now just preparing for this home stretch.
I just want to say one thing. R.J. Harvey needs more touches. He needs more than 7 carries.
I would agree with you.
He needs more than 7 carries.
I would agree.
He still went over 100 all-purpose yards. So.
He did, but he needs more carries.
Yeah,
he needs more carries.
They need to run the ball more.
Get him more involved. Can the Broncos win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Okay, that
Sure.
was quick. That was a lot quicker
Anybody
than I was
Wowzers.
Any team in the playoffs can win it.
Anyone
get a Super
can
Bowl,
win,
you get a Super
and
Bowl, you get a
nobody
Super
is
Bowl.
any good.
Right? That's basically the same as not picking. You know that, right? That's the same as not picking.
I picked, and I think my two teams are in trouble. But I say this: anybody can get hot because why? Tell them why. Nobody's any damn good.
All right, so pick two right now as we go to break.
I'm not getting off my two.
He's sticking with Bills Packers.
I'm not getting off my two.
Yeah, Bills Packers. All right, let's hit a break here in Game Day Recap. We'll talk about who's going to go to the Super Bowl. Maybe it's the Panthers. Who knows? Maybe at the beginning of the season that felt crazy, but boy, they just keep finding ways to win in a pivotal divisional showdown. Bryce Young standing strong. We're breaking it down next on Game Day Recap. I thought you were going to sneeze.
I did
Bless
too.
you.
I did.
Okay.
I did too. I did too.
Setting the tone.
Well, it's almost like I saw the camera cut on the side of my eye and it just
locked in.
Yeah, locked
You're
in.
ready to go.
Legendary
well, I'll give you
lock-in.
first word. Let's talk about your boy Bryce Young. Listen, this snaps a 6-game winning streak for Tampa against Carolina. It's Bryce Young's first career win as a starter against the Bucs. I mean, do you give credit to Carolina for winning the game? Are you disappointed in the Bucs for kind of collapsing there at the end? Which direction do you go?
I'm going to lean towards giving credit to the Carolina Panthers and especially Bryce Young. And listen, we've sat up here and we've talked about his leadership, his poise, his competitiveness. Now we're starting to see some of those big-time throws in big-time moments, right? The touchdown to Tet, beautifully thrown ball. The deep ball late in the fourth quarter to what's
Coker.
the receiver's name?
Jalen Coker.
To Jalen Coker at the end of the game. Like, those were spot-on type of throws. And if you're Carolina and if you're looking at Bryce Young and you're already following him and now you're starting to see him make those type of throws, you're looking at it and you're saying, these are the plays that we need our quarterback to make down the stretch if we want to have success getting to the postseason and throughout the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to blame the Tampa Bay Bucs because they held the ball 10 more minutes than the Carolina Panthers did in this game. And they ran the ball really well. They ran for over 169 yards. They actually had more yards rushing than they had passing, the Tampa Bay Bucs did. But now you're getting healthy. And Pete has been saying it since we started the show. We still hadn't seen the best of the Bucs. The Bucs can still get better. And they went through their injury situation, but right now, you're getting everyone healthy. Emeka Egbuka didn't get a target until later in the first half. He only had
one catch
the whole day.
It's a big one, but one catch.
But these are the type of things they have to find their rhythm.
Is it too late, though? I mean, you keep saying we haven't seen the best of the Bucs. It's week 16. There's 2 games left on the schedule.
Yeah,
I personally think this is you are what you are. I think this is who they are. I truly think this is who they are. I think this offense can score points because they have the weapons, but this defense, they can't rush the passer. The secondary is going to be inconsistent holding up, and I think that's what's going to always come back and bite them.
Now, having said all that, the game didn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Comes down to week 18.
It does not matter. If they go in and beat Miami, then it all comes down to week 18. So in the reality of it, yeah, you lost the game. You would like to have won it because if you went to Miami and won that game, then the division was over. But in reality, you go beat Miami, which you should do, and then you play Carolina in week 18, win that, and you're in the playoffs. I'm concerned about Baker Mayfield. He's not playing close to what he was playing like early in the season. And all the weapons are back. Mike Evans is back. Jalen McMillan's back. Godwin's back. I know the offensive line still missing a couple guys, but he's not playing the same. And I think his eye levels come down. His footwork is off. He just looks rushed. And even the throw where he threw the interception at the end of the game, Mike Evans should have kept going. He went peeled back. He was trying to make a play. But Baker didn't look comfortable on that play at all. And I just don't think he feels comfortable in the pocket, and I think that's a concern. He got hurt at some point during the season. I'm not sure he's all the way back, but he's not playing real good quarterback right now.
The Bucs are 1-6 over their last 7, and so obviously that's not the form you want to be in when you're going into the postseason. So the final question I'll pose to you, and we can be quick here, if you're looking at the Bucs or the Panthers to be a bigger threat in the postseason, Pete, who is it?
I still think it's Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I think the veteran team will find a way to become a threat. I think they're still going to find a way to get in. I think they win and get in, and they're a threat.
Same. I think I see it the exact same way. I think ultimately they will win out and get in and win this division because they're a veteran team. They've done it, and they have the experience doing it.
Agreed. I have more confidence in them just because they're the more experienced football team.
I'm going to go Panthers just to be different. Just because why not?
Why not, right?
I want to be on their hype reel again.
I do want to
That's
be on
what you
their hype
want.
reel. No,
Actually, you know what? I lied. Because I've been
changing?
Yeah, I'm changing. No. It has nothing. It don't have anything to do with Haley. But even before the game, I've been asked this: who do I trust more, Tampa Bay or Carolina? I keep saying Tampa Bay. And what did I just say? You are what you are. I'm starting to believe that's just who they are.
Roll Tide.
We saw some Bryce Young magic today.
We
saw Bryce magic today.
Roll Tide.
Okay. Well, we'll roll Tide over here.
Yeah,
you guys can roll Baker Mayfield over there.
The old folks home
there
over
we go.
here.
I like that
Old
sweat.
folks
I like
home
that
over here.
situation. All right, let's take another break here on Game Day Recap. When we come back, jury's still out on the Bucs and the Panthers. What about the Bills? A bit of a scare there for Josh Allen, but nonetheless, Buffalo one step closer to being in that postseason picture. The question is, where are they going to end up? We'll break it down next. Let's give you a peek at Sunday Night Football. We keep talking about the postseason. This one certainly has some postseason implications. Still 7-0 in favor of the Ravens. We've had a couple of turnovers in this one. Not a lot of passing yards from either quarterback. Drake May, just 36 yards and an interception. Lamar Jackson, a perfect 4 of 4 on the day, 69 yards. Again, Derrick Henry, the only touchdown on the day in this game. And if we look at another game that happened in the AFC earlier today, the Buffalo Bills. This one was kind of a weird one. I think a lot of us expected Buffalo to maybe run away with this one, take advantage of a Cleveland Browns team that's not very good. Josh Allen, I believe, got banged up in this one too, but ultimately James Cook, truly the difference maker there. I mean, look at the stat line. We can barely fit it on the box score. 117 rushing yards, the 2 touchdowns to go along with 17 receiving yards as well. Buffalo still in play for that AFC East title, and of course still trying to solidify their postseason seeding when it comes to what the AFC is going to look like. They become the 5th team in NFL history, by the way, to win 11 straight games or 11 plus games in 6 straight seasons. So obviously this is not new to the Buffalo Bills in terms of what they're doing, the wins, the double-digit wins, that is. But they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, and that's kind of the difference between those teams in the past that have won the 11 games or whatever versus now. Pete, something you mentioned earlier, there's no Lamar Jackson, or well, potentially no Lamar Jackson, but no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow. Why is this the year that the Bills should win the Super Bowl, in theory?
Well, in theory, you have the star quarterback, you have that guy, and you look around at the playoffs, and he's the one guy that's actually been successful in the playoffs, winning games, other than Lamar Jackson gets in. And so this is the great opportunity for you to go do it. The problem with that is if they don't win the division, you're out on the road. And if you're out on the road, that's going to be a challenge week in and week out. They're built for it. They have experience. They've done it before and won on the road in the postseason. But, again, you don't want to make that a habit of going out on the road in the playoffs. And if you're the wild card team, say they're the 6 or the 7, probably be the 6. If you're the 6, you go out on the road, you play the 3, you win that game, you're probably out on the road again. So it's going to be tough to do it. But this is a great opportunity for him because those star quarterbacks aren't in, particularly Kansas City.
I'm going to say, why the hell not? Embrace the challenge, even if you got to go on the road. What other way would you want it, right? You could be comfortable and be at home, and I think sometimes having the home game creates pressure. Right? Because you're supposed to have the advantage. You're supposed to, the elements of Buffalo are supposed to really affect the opponent, and you're supposed to be fine in it. So sometimes it's just best to go on the road. It creates the mentality of us against everyone else. And Josh Allen is the ultimate competitor, a guy that will embrace that and go out and play ball. But Haley, you said, like today, James Cook led him. He ran the ball really well, was, just elusive, making guys miss, hitting a home run, scoring, getting the ball in the paint. Josh Allen didn't have to do as much today as we've seen him do in recent weeks. And so they got to still continue to have that balance and create that formula for themselves and put their defense in a position where they're playing with the lead. So now these guys up front can pin their ears back and rush the passer.
It seems like a loaded question, but when you've got a quarterback like Josh Allen, a running back like James Cook, and we always have this conversation of who does the offense truly run through? Is it Josh Allen? Is it James Cook? I know you're rolling your eyes because you believe it's Josh Allen, but we have to give some nod to James Cook because this is not the first time, the second time, even the third time that we've seen him have a monster performance like this and be impactful.
Yeah, James Cook has been doing this all year, and I think that him and Josh play separate but equal roles in this. I think that Josh is obviously, he's Superman. He's the master manipulator of the offense, but James Cook is more of like, I don't want to call him a sidekick. I'm trying to think of the word of like a
sidekick's a good word.
I know you want me to say. I know you want me to say it. But he's like the Flash, right? It's like Captain America and then having the Flash as your counterpart, right? You can hit people with power, with force, with aggression, or you give the ball to James Cook and you have speed. But one thing that we're not talking about is this offensive line. They've been banged up and still they're playing at a high level. They held Myles Garrett to a half a sack today. They created run lanes for James Cook and the other backs. Ty Johnson had a touchdown today. He walked in standing up. They're doing a good job up front, and that's what allows Josh to be Josh. That's what allows James Cook to be able to get to the second and third level and start to use that speed and elusiveness. So it's really like all of these, they all have a part to do in this, and I think when they're all doing it well, that's when we see the best version of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, they kind of went through the motions early in this game, and then they found a way and got ahead, and then they let them back in it. And they made plays on defense when they needed to. I'm worried about the defense. I really am. I think it's been a problem all year long. I don't know if they're good enough to win defensively unless they go nuts on offense. And if you go nuts on offense, how do you go nuts on offense? You go crazy on offense with that quarterback going wild. And I still think that's their formula for success. And by the way, all the talk about Cook or Allen, if you ask every defensive coordinator who plays that team, would you rather take away Cook or would you rather take away Allen? They'd rather take away Allen. I mean, Cook.
That's what I was going to pose the question to the group. Is a lot of James Cook's production, is it because of the threat of Josh Allen? Right, particularly when we're seeing those RPO type looks, like Dame, like that's going to have to freeze the linebacker and the backside defender who is Josh Allen's read. You're going to have to respect Josh Allen pulling the ball. That's going to freeze that backer, maybe even stop that backside defender from closing, which now with James Cook's ability to slash and hit those home runs, it creates more of an open space for him. So my question is a lot of James Cook's production a byproduct of who Josh Allen is?
I would say a certain percentage of that, yes, but I also see the Buffalo Bills line up in double tight with Reggie Gilliam, the fullback in the backfield, and they turn and hand the ball off to James Cook, and they just run duo right at the teeth of the defense. You know what's coming. The receiver, he does that little search motion where he gets between the tight and the tight. You know the run is coming, and he's still able to get through those loaded boxes and still be able to create mismatches once he gets to the second and third level. So I do think it's a byproduct, but I do think James Cook deserves some credit for being able to just be a smaller, speedier back, but still be able to get those tough yards.
James Cook's a great back. We can't take that away from him. But the reality is the way their defense is constructed right now, if they had a dominant defense, then I'd say, hey, look, play close to the vest, turn and hand off, take some shots down the field, and feature James Cook as the guy who carries the offense. That's not what they are on defense. They're not that good on defense. They're going to give up a lot of big plays. They give up a lot of rushing yards. You've got to be able to hit shots in the playoffs. It has to be about Josh Allen in the postseason. It has to be, and by the way, I think it will be.
Well, unfortunately, Myles Garrett did not get the chance to sack Josh Allen. As you mentioned, it was credited as a half sack, which means he is still one shy away from beating that record. But what I will say is as far as my research, I was trying to crank through the internet here. He has not ever sacked Aaron Rodgers, if that is correct, and that's obviously who they play next week. So imagine breaking the record, and then it is against you get that sack against Aaron Rodgers. Certainly some fun stuff there.
Maybe he can take a dive like his old buddy Brett Favre did way back in the day.
Maybe he can, and then he can avoid the sack. Who knows? Real quick, I hate to end this on a somber note, but for Cleveland, it has kind of felt like this has been such a positive step forward with Shough behind center. You get Quinshon Judkins going, and then, of course, the injury to Quinshon today. Damien, how do you think that impacts them? And, again, we don't know how long. Obviously, he's going to miss the rest of the season. I believe it was a broken fibula and another ligament issue. But either way, done for the season. But what can you say about what Quinshon was able to do and, I guess, the future in Cleveland if they've got that duo going?
Well, Quinshon added a toughness and a directness, aggressiveness to this offense that the quarterback can't manage on his own. And not having that guy, that's going to be huge. And especially when you've got a guy like Dylan Sampson who's been inactive, hasn't really found his rhythm yet. Quinshon, early in his career, has become the bell cow featured back for this offense. So it's really going to hurt them moving forward as a team. But I'm more on the side of Pete. I don't really think this affects Shough too much because Shough is not the quarterback for Cleveland. He will not be the quarterback in Cleveland for the long-term future. So it really, Shough's situation is totally separate.
Come on over.
I'm coming to the old folks home.
Look at that.
You agree too. He's not the long-term answer, right?
No, I don't think so. Just based off of the fact of how they're running this offense, what they're asking them to do, and again, I think there are things going on there that we're just not privy to. as to why they're not really opening up. I think based off of the quarterbacks that they have right now, not including Deshaun Watson, he gives them the best chance to win. Now, that's the other trick of it, too, is Deshaun Watson, his contract situation, because they're tied to him for another year and the money that they owe him. So all of that's going to come into play, and you're well positioned to go up and get a quarterback in this draft class if you want. But to answer your question, Haley, the offense flowed through Quinshon Judkins. As soon as he was inserted in that lineup, whether it was Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, or Shedeur Sanders, the offense flowed through Quinshon Judkins and his ability to create on the ground and catch those screens and give them a chance. He was their best and most consistent offensive performer. But they have some young backs. We'll see Dylan Sampson get back in there. He's explosive. He can hit the big play. And then the young fella, Raheem Sanders, ran hard today and got a lot of tough yards. I know it wasn't pretty, but I think they can use that as a 1-2 combination. Stop doing that, Pete. Stop doing that.
Back on the shelf. You're in. You ran well.
I quit.
And you were cooking, too.
Like, he really
Disrespect for the running back position.
They're everywhere.
And you were offensive lineman.
They're everywhere. You
You're
can find them
offensive
everywhere.
lineman.
By the way, one last thing on Shedeur. I ask everybody who sits here and questions like what you just said about him not being in the long term, how many times have you seen him go back into the pocket, put his foot in the ground, go through his progressions, and fire a rifle shot down the field 25 yards? It hadn't happened much. A lot of his completions today were on those little boots to the tight end, little flares, little screen passes. He doesn't do it. And in what were you yelling in the green room? He holds the damn ball.
Well, I'm going to defend him here because I think a lot of times if you go back and we all watch tape the rest of the week on how the games went. I believe if you freeze frame when he gets to the top of his drop, there's nobody open. Because there's nobody on that team, whether it's the receiver position. Now, they scheme Harold Fannin open. They get him the ball rather quick. But they don't have separators. Like Jerry Jeudy, just based off of his footwork and his ability, he has the separation ability, but he doesn't get open. Or if he gets open, he drops the ball.
And they have a bad offensive line.
And so that's the thing. Like, he gets to the top, there's nobody open. And so now it's left for him to create, and that's not his game. So that's the part where, again, look at all these young quarterbacks. Like, the word, right? Everyone was out on Bryce Young. And now we see what in year 3, Bryce Young is starting to turn the corner. He has his team in contention, and now everyone's like, oh, maybe the guy's okay.
Okay. You drafted the number 1. He was the first overall pick. He's okay. Think about what you just said.
Look at your guy, Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
How long has it taken him to get to this point? How many years has he been in?
Correct.
He's 6'5", 230, and he's playing really, really well. But he has been okay throughout his career.
But he's won a
Much
playoff
better.
game. He won a
I'm with you
playoff
there.
game.
I can meet
That was a
you
good
with
one.
Trevor.
That was a good one. That was better. That was better.
Bryce Young is going to be Trevor Lawrence good?
I don't know. I'm not over there.
You know. Look, the bottom line is, you know when you see it, and when you look at Shedeur Sanders, you just don't see franchise quarterback. You see a guy who's better than Dylan Gabriel, that's for sure. But I just don't see franchise quarterback.
Is there anything he can do over the next couple of weeks? Steelers, Bengals to wrap up the season. Is there anything he can go out there and do to prove to you that he can be QB1?
They got 2 first-round picks. I think they're going to make a move to go get one. Don't
Okay.
you? Fernando Mendoza or
this draft is going to be really be tricky, because right now we're making Fernando Mendoza the number 1 pick, right? And he still could return to college. He should not do it. But then the big question is who's next?
Dante Moore.
And so if
Dante Moore might be number 1.
But here's the question with Dante Moore. Uncle Phil's pockets are deep out there in Oregon.
Ooh.
Right, so that's going to be
take a pay cut to come to the NFL.
Right, but that's the question. Well, I don't care if you like Dante Moore or you like Fernando Mendoza. The thing is who is QB 1 and 2, and then where does the next QB come after that? Right. So in all those teams, whether it's the Jags, whether it's Arizona being positioned to move up, they're going to have to leverage and mortgage the future to do it. But the Jets. Cleveland, it's only
Jags moving up to get a quarterback?
No, I didn't mean to say the Jags. I meant to say the Jets. But all these teams that need quarterbacks, and everyone keeps saying, oh, well, maybe they should wait till 27. That's what they said last year. Wait till 26.
I do remember that.
I was guilty of that.
Wait till 26, and then now with 26, we're like, oh, maybe there's not enough coming out.
But here's
you
the
can't keep kicking the can down the road. Just take a damn quarterback.
They did. They took two, and they swung and missed.
Here's the thing about all these college quarterbacks who might stay in for that $4 or $5 million they get from their school. The quicker you get to your second contract, that's the mega contract. There's a big difference between $55 million a year and $5. Believe me, they'll find that out in a hurry.
It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season shakes out for both of these two teams kind of going in opposite directions. We'll just have to wait and see who will be the quarterback in 2026. Let's hit a break here in Game Day Recap. Still plenty to talk about, including that AFC playoff picture. Both the Chargers and the Texans getting wins today. How does that impact the AFC? We'll tell you next. Let's take you to Jerry World, where there were not a lot of Cowboys fans in attendance for this one because the Cowboys have been eliminated from postseason play. But you know what? Quentin Johnston got to play in front of his home crowd. The former TCU Horned Frog turning up, scoring the opening touchdown for the Chargers. 4 receptions, 104 yards, and that touchdown you just saw, all on 5 targets for Quentin Johnston. He has certainly really turned things around from the beginning of his career to now, and it has the Chargers still in that wild card spot. But again, 2 AFC teams still playing right now on Sunday Night Football, still 2 weeks to go. So obviously a lot can change to this point, but right now let's focus on the Chargers and what they got going on for the rest of the season here. 7-1 after starting the season 4-3, and that feels like a theme, a trend that we've seen with a lot of these teams, but they're up to 11 wins on this year. Justin Herbert continues to show out, even with a banged up hand. He took off running there and used his legs, really showing what he could do. Damien, I want to start the conversation though with Quentin Johnston, because it wasn't so long ago that anytime we saw him targeted on the field, everyone was like, oh, that's a drop. Yeah, exactly. That was the reaction. Talk about what it means for Quentin to kind of push through that, to overcome that, and to be a player. I mean, 4 targets, 100-plus yards, like that's got to feel pretty good.
Well, it starts with ownership. You look yourself in the mirror, you identify the fact that you ain't been catching the damn football, and you just haven't been doing your job, because your job as a receiver is to get open and catch the football. And what does that turn into? Taking accountability, doing something to fix it. You grow up, you mature, you work extra, you spend extra time on the jugs machine, extra time with your quarterback, and you develop that relationship and timing. And then what does that turn into? Confidence. Now he goes out there and he makes those plays. Whenever the ball's in the air, Justin Herbert expects him to come down with the football. It's gone from is he going to catch it to no, that's my go-to guy in a crucial situation on a go ball for a touchdown. I've got that type of confidence. So just seeing him continue to mature and develop throughout his career early, it's been great to see.
It has been really great to see him becoming, like you said, that comfortable, that target for Justin Herbert. Ran, I want to talk about the Jim Harbaugh effect with this team, right? Because I kind of laid it out there. They're 7-1, so clearly they're playing their best football at this stage of the season. 11 or more win seasons in back-to-back seasons. Of course, Jim Harbaugh took over last year. I know he has the campy, who's got it better than we do situation.
Nobody.
But it feels like this is an entirely different Chargers team, and I know we've kind of been in and out on them, but what can you say?
You buried them a couple weeks
about
ago.
what Jim Harbaugh has done in this situation?
And I made myself a loser last week
you
for
did.
doing that.
Again, we love accountability on this show.
Number one thing, as you were talking, Haley, and you were asking the question, the first thing that just came to the forefront of my mind was culture. Jim Harbaugh has gone there and established a culture. The Chargers team, if you look at the organization and you go all the way back to the early Drew Brees days, to the Phillip Rivers days, they've always had talent. That's one thing this team and this organization has always had. They've always had talented players, but it was always came in question at a point was the mentality. Do we have the mentality? Do they have the grit to finish and close out situations? And I think that's what Jim Harbaugh brings, because that's his pedigree. He's shown you that going back to him being the head coach at University of San Diego. He's been a winner everywhere he's gone because he's been able to establish a culture and get guys to buy in, and not only get the buy-in, but bring his guys, his style of football. It doesn't have to look like everyone else's. And you don't have to have the level of certain guys at certain positions. I went through the whole draft process saying they need to upgrade this defensive line. They need to find some defensive linemen. Oh, they're definitely going to draft some guys early. And they didn't. And they've gone with the guys that they have because those guys fit what they want to do schematically, but the mentality. And so that's the number one thing that Jim Harbaugh has brought is a mentality and a culture, and all those guys have bought in.
One thing you know with Jim Harbaugh, he values offensive linemen. And I remember sitting him at the owners' meetings, him talking about the value of the offensive lineman and what that means. And you look at what's happened to this team. Their offensive line was decimated by injuries. You lose your left tackle, you lose your right tackle, and all of a sudden you say, we're done. And they were done, but then they adjusted. They moved, and these 5 guys, Jamari Salyer's playing left tackle now. He started at right guard. At times he's been a left tackle. Zion Johnson, Bozeman, Becton, and Bobby Hart. You know how many sacks the Cowboys had today? Not a one. None. And that tells you that those guys up front have improved greatly. Since they went to Jacksonville and got beat up, they have responded in a big way. It's a tribute to Jim Harbaugh, but it's also a tribute to that offensive line coming together. And if Herbert has time, we saw what he can do when he has time today.
Yeah, and I want to continue to emphasize he's playing with that club on it. I mean, I know it's his non-throwing hand, but still, like, that's a little bit of a handicap, and he's finding ways to win. The Chargers are going to host the Texans on Saturday, so we're excited to see that one again. We keep talking about playoffs.
That's essentially a playoff game. Almost.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Chargers are in. The Texans need that game more than the Chargers do.
Yeah, and then they're going to finish the season at Denver. So a really, really difficult swing here when it comes to the Chargers. You mentioned it, though, the Texans, that game against the Chargers is going to feel like a playoff game, much different than the competition that they had with the Raiders today. And yet it still felt like it was pulling teeth trying to get this Texans team to a win. And I know a lot of teams needed them to lose in terms of their postseason hopes. I think ultimately, Rand, if you're the Texans, you're happy that you get a win, but maybe not happy with the way that it happened. What did you think about how Houston played the Raiders today?
I just think they just played down to their competition. I know a DeMeco Ryans team is never going to overlook an opponent, right? They're not teaching that. They're not encouraging that. But I just think the players didn't come out and play with that same tenacity that they've played in other games that we've seen them play. Games in which we left saying that this might be the best defense in the entire league and one of the better defenses that we've seen in recent years. And again, they are a good team, so they did just enough to come away with a victory. But like you said, you got the Chargers on Saturday. You can't play like this. C.J. Stroud can't start the game the way that he did and expect to beat the Chargers next week, let alone beat a team in the playoffs.
What's your confidence in the Texans?
I'm not confident in C.J. Stroud right now, especially when I watch him in the pocket. His feet are so antsy. He's always climbing the pocket or running out of the back of it, and it's usually the opposite of what he wants to do. His eyes aren't up. He's not seeing guys down the field. And as much as, you know, I know that it happens in the National Football League. Like you said, sometimes you do play down to your competition, but the Raiders have been kind of like a stepping stone to some teams right now. Whenever you need something, whenever you need to get it going, you use the Raiders as a punching bag. I'm sorry to Pete Carroll, Ashton Genty. I'm sorry to those guys, but that's what it's become. And then when you see a Texans team that is trying to get hot, they're trying to find their rhythm at the most crucial point in the season, and C.J. Stroud, 23 for 35, 187 yards, and a touchdown. Nico Collins, 4 catches, 59 yards, no touchdowns. Like, that's just not what the Texans need to be a threat or be a force come playoff time.
Yeah, certainly cannot win games. I do want to give a very quick shout out to the Raiders. They went up 14-13. That was their first lead since week 11, according to the broadcast.
So Pete will take that to the unemployment line.
Yeah, and we will reestablish what that
No, I don't know if they're going to make a change. I don't
You think
know.
he's going to stick around?
The money is great to fire him right now, and I don't know if they're willing to do it.
I talked about it on Ryan Wilson and I's podcast with the first pick. We talked about how to fix the Raiders. You talk about getting rid of Pete Carroll. Well, you're going through litigation right now with John Gruden, so that contract is on pause for now. And then you're still paying Josh McDaniels. You're still paying Antonio Pierce. And then if you get rid of Pete, you're going to pay Pete, and you got to hire a new coach. So you're paying 5 head coaches.
Looking like the LSU Tigers out there.
By the way, there isn't a coach in the world that would win with this team right now. None. They're bad.
Just the roster up and down,
it's a
no
bad
good.
roster. They got a lot of injuries. It's just a bad team right now.
And I appreciate you saying respect to Pete Carroll and Ashton Genty. I feel you, protecting your mentions.
Yeah.
I want Mitchell.
Hey, listen, I'm the president of the Ashton Genty fan club, so I gotta keep that separate.
He did some good things.
He did. He balled.
He really did.
Yeah, I can attest to that. You've been on Ashton Genty since his Boise State days, which were not that long ago. All right, let's hit another break here on Game Day Recap. When we come back, talking Joe Burrow. Wonder if he's having any fun now. He throws for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns, and a lot of it went to Jamar Chase. How the Bengals were able to beat Quinn Ewers and the Dolphins. Next on Game Day Recap. Let's take you to South Florida for Dolphins-Bengals. This one was close until it wasn't. Joe Burrow's been talking about how he's not happy, he's not having fun, what's his future going to look like. This was pretty fun. The third fastest player in NFL history to get to 150 career passing touchdowns. Ironically, he's behind Dan Marino, who today they celebrated the 60th anniversary of the Dolphins here at Hard Rock Stadium. But this was like he hit Chase Brown for 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase was getting in on the action. And here's a look at some of those fantasy points, because this is a very pivotal week in fantasy football. Unfortunately, I faced off a team that had Jackson Smith-Njigba, Puka Nacua, and I believe Chase Brown as well. So I'm going to take the L this week. But look at the numbers on here. I mean, Joe Burrow on there, he had 36 points. Pete, your boy, Trevor Lawrence had 37, the second highest score in fantasy this week. We just talked about Justin Herbert with a 34, and your boy, Ashton Genty, getting in 31 points there. So a lot of fantasy still going around, people still trying to make it to their championship. I don't feel very confident, but it is what it is. We'll leave it there. Neither of these two teams are going to win a championship either, though, between the Bengals and the Dolphins. Although if one was going to, maybe between these two, it's the Bengals based on how they played today. But either way, this has just kind of been, both of these teams have just been a mess to this point. Do you want to talk about the Dolphins? Do you want to talk about the Bengals? Which direction you want to go?
I'll talk about the Dolphins. And we sat here about 3 weeks ago and we said, hey, maybe Mike McDaniel is saving his job. And he's done a nice job of turning that thing around. The last 2 weeks, not good for Mike McDaniel at all. I mean, you go to Pittsburgh, you score 3 points through 3 quarters, you don't look good on offense, you bench your quarterback. Quinn Ewers came in today and did some decent things. He wasn't awful. He threw a couple bad interceptions, but you expect that for a young quarterback. But then you look at your defense. They were nowhere to be found today. You know, Joe Burrow didn't have any fun. He must have felt like he was having fun at practice today because he played nobody. It was like a 7-on-7 drill. It was terrible. And so I'm worried about Mike McDaniel now. I didn't think he was going to get fired, and I don't think they want to fire him. But if you put the body of work the last 2 weeks out in front of you and you say, here you go, I mean, you're making a case for why he should be fired.
JJ, or Jonathan Jones, put out a report and speaking to a source, basically saying that they believe in Mike McDaniel. They want him to be the coach not only in 2026, but maybe even down the line. They believe that the roster he was given maybe not the best hand, so they want to give him a clean shot. And the quote that JJ used in his story that said, quote, they felt like he's had a tough hand and they want to give him a shot. Rand, what is it from a front office standpoint? What is it about Mike McDaniel that makes this front office want to believe in him, even when, to Pete's point, the last 2 weeks have not been great?
I think just who Mike is in terms of a person that can scheme, that can create a scheme, that can create an offensive game plan that get guys open. Now, Mike has areas of his coaching ability where he's going to have to evolve. Mike had never really run a side of the football until he became the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And Pete, you and I both know no matter how much experience you have, you still have to grow and become a leader of everybody and not just one specific side of the ball. So even with that, like, there's still some growth there for him to be had. Now, one thing I will tell you from a front office standpoint, whether you're the GM, a scout, or whomever, when you're working with someone who runs the systems that Mike McDaniels runs, it makes your job easier as a scout because they're very specific in what they want and what they want out of every position. They're able to tell you in detail and give you answers of what they're looking for, which makes your job as a scout easier to go out and find it. So I'd be interested to see as they move forward, if they move forward with Mike McDaniels, what's the next step in terms of who is going to lead their front office and be able to pair with him?
Yeah, they do need to hire a GM. That's a great point, Rand.
I was just going to say, can I ask a question? At what point are we going to start talking about Zach Taylor's job security? Because as I'm sitting here looking at it, I know he took them to the Super Bowl once, but a total record of 50, 62, and 1. You've been in the Super Bowl. Other than that, what have you done? With Joe Burrow in his prime, Jamar Chase in his prime, T. Higgins in his prime. You've had Gesicki for a good amount of time, so you got a good weapon at tight end. You got Chase Brown now. You've got an ability to run the football. I don't want to hear any excuses about defense because that's between the front office, the coaches, getting the roster together. That's on them. You have done absolutely nothing with some of the best players in the National Football League in the midst of their prime, and you have absolutely nothing to show for it. Year in and year out. It's like, you guys remember I don't know if it was on Hard Knocks or what show it was on, but whenever the Bengals were playing the Tennessee Titans, and Zach Taylor was talking to Joe Burrow after the game, and he was trying to calm him down. He was all like, oh, man, we're winning the game. And Joe's like, man, forget this. We play like trash. This is awful. What is this? And if the quarterback, being Joe Burrow, has to have that type of communication with your head coach about getting things right, getting things foundationally right to the point where you can set yourself up for success in the future, that's telling to me. And I'm just sitting here wondering, with this record, with the players you've had, the resources you've had, what makes everybody confident that Zach Taylor's the guy for the job?
Well, he's not. There is no confidence in him. They're questioning it right now. I think
Would you say he's on the hot seat?
I would think he's being questioned in that building whether they want to keep him or not. And you mentioned he had Joe Burrow. He's only had Joe Burrow 3 full seasons. Let's be real about it. 3. Oh, and he went to the Super Bowl with him in 1 of those. So he is capable, but there's definitely, and you should question whether Zach Taylor's the guy. You should question whether the front office is the right. Duke Tobin and that group has the right makeup, because they've been trying to fix that defense for a long, long time. They've been trying to fix that offensive line for a long, long time, and they haven't done it. So I think there's questions about all of them. And one quick thing about Mike McDaniel. If Mike McDaniel comes back and you hire a GM, are you forcing Mike McDaniel on the GM, or are you hiring a guy that you want to fit with Mike McDaniel, so you're not really hiring the guy you want?
So that's going to be the ultimate question in how you're going to structure this. Because you're right, Pete, if you're bringing in a GM, especially from the outside that's never worked with Mike, you're essentially saying Mike's on borrowed time. Because at some point, that guy's going to want to get his own guy in there. And that's why I said what I said, Haley, in terms of it's going to be interesting to see who they pair up with him. Will it be someone that Mike has a history of working with, that he's worked with before, which will give him a longer leash in terms of fixing it?
Then you might not be hiring the right GM because you're hiring somebody that's familiar with Mike.
But again, that's not for me to answer. That's up for the Dolphins brass and ownership. But to me, so that's going to be the ultimate question. But going back to your question in terms of the Cincinnati Bengals and Zach Taylor's job security, I look at it like this. These are the same questions we were having about Marvin Lewis. Right. One thing we knew about Marvin Lewis had that defense rocking. They had offensive players. Now, they had other issues going on there just in terms of the type of people. But Marvin Lewis's issue was going 0-7 in the playoffs. Never mind the fact that he turned around the Bengals program that hadn't seen the playoffs, but he got them there 7 times. He just wasn't able to win. And so then you switch and you go to Zach Taylor. And Zach Taylor was able to get you a coveted playoff win, get you to the Super Bowl, wasn't able to finish it. But then if you replace him, who's out there that's going to be able to flip this whole thing for you in a short amount of time? Because if you fire Zach Taylor, whoever that next coach is, his leash is short. You have to win immediately, because it would be why they're making the move, because they feel like that next head coach has whatever it takes to get them over the hump.
All right, we will leave it there when it comes to the Bengals and the Dolphins. Great discussion, though. A lot of holes need to be filled despite these teams being out of the postseason. Let's talk about a battle of 2 rookie quarterbacks in our next game, the Saints and the Jets. It feels weird to call Tyler Shough a rookie. Let's be real here, but that's where his classification lies. It's interesting, though, when it comes to the Saints and specifically Tyler Shough. They're now picking up steam. This is now their 3rd win for New Orleans. They got a big division win last week as well. Tyler Shough today, 32 of 49, 309 yards, and a touchdown. Rand, I know we've talked about quarterbacks and continuity and who could be the guy in what spot. Has Tyler Shough showed you that he can be the guy in New Orleans? I
think he has, especially playing with this head coach that he's playing with, who has a history of being able to develop quarterbacks. I don't know if we talked about it here or on one of the other shows. The cool thing for Tyler Shough, and not only the way he's playing, but he was handpicked by this head coach, right? And so he was able to come in, didn't win the job immediately, but was able to come in, and now they've won, 3 or 4 straight, and got them in a space where Kellen Moore is comfortable with this guy running this offense. And so now they've spent the resources on fixing the offensive line. They're getting a little long in the tooth on defense. They're going to have to address that via the draft. But now you got to continue to surround him with weapons and be able to protect him. I think this guy has shown enough that he deserves another opportunity to be the starting quarterback entering the 2026 season.
I don't think there's any question. I think they have their guy. And I'll be honest with you, when he came out, I was not one of those guys who thought he would be that guy. He's impressed me. Today was fantastic, by the way. The numbers don't do his play justice. That's how good he looked. Now, he's playing against the Jets, who aren't very good, so I get it. But the reality is he's made some nice throws. He looks comfortable. He can move. He can run. And also, we got to give Kellen Moore a lot of credit, too. This team, talent-wise, has all kinds of issues. When you look at the cap-wise, they got major problems. They got age creeping in at some spots. And yet here they are in the last couple weeks, winning games, competing in games, and they have a young rookie quarterback. That also goes to the head coach. Coach, quarterback, we say it all the time. When you have the coach and you have the quarterback, you're going to win a lot of games in this league. They're not winning a lot of games this year, but down the road, they have to be optimistic for where this team is heading.
Tyler Shough, Offensive Rookie of the Year?
I don't think he's played enough games to
But it's an interesting.
It's interesting to think about, right?
Yeah, the fact that both of you guys were kind of
right. I kind of stumbled over a little thing. You see the look on Pete's face?
Well, the question is, who is the Offensive Rookie of the Year? A lot of guys have. Buka's fallen off a little bit. Yeah. I mean, guys have fallen off.
Travion, he's hot and cold.
Right.
He's hot and cold. Still spending time with Ramondre.
I still think Emeka has a chance to be the guy, just because of what he was able to do and sustain it for a longer period. Now, you said, and you're 100% right, in recent weeks, his production has gone down, which I don't think is all his fault.
Baker.
You know, if you're not being targeted, and plus you're getting all the other guys back. But I think he carried the team in such a way that he kept them and actually won some games for him. So I think when it all shakes out, because just like the rest of the league, everything's jumbled. Anybody can be it at this point. I think he still has a chance.
Tyler Shough, the most wins by a Saints rookie ever. He's got 4 wins as the starter there.
They had some really bad teams back in the day.
And they have. Also, the first rookie quarterback to pass for more than 300 yards in a game. So to your point, can he have a case for the offensive player of the rookie of the year? He does have a case. He is making some history. Let's talk about a couple more rookie quarterbacks here. Just a terrible year for J.J. McCarthy. It's like he gets a little bit of ground and then he gets hurt, and then gets a little bit of ground and then he gets hurt. And unfortunately for Jackson Dart, it's kind of the same thing. So it's a little bit of chaos for both of these young guys still learning what it means to be a starting quarterback. I do want to start with J.J. McCarthy, and Rand, I'll come to you as our GM on set here. This is a Vikings team that went out similar to the Saints and Tyler Shough. They went out and they sought out J.J. McCarthy. They went and they traded up for him. Don't look at me like that. I stumbled over my words. Be quiet. J.J. McCarthy was the guy that they wanted. Now you're seeing how his career has sort of played out. I know it's early, and I know that there's still a lot to get to in his career. But if it started like this, how are you feeling in the front office when it comes to J.J. McCarthy?
Well, I think if you're Kwesi, if you're Kevin O'Connell, you moved up to get him. Right, so you gave up draft picks to go up to get J.J. McCarthy, and you have to still remind yourself that this is year one. He missed last year due to injury, and Sam Darnold played out of his mind up to a certain point. This is year one in him running this system, being able to actually run it on the field and not get mental reps. It just is what it is. You got to live through the ebbs and flow of a young quarterback that is learning a system, that is playing football at the highest level. Now, if you're still having these questions after next year, then you got to start to look for some answers. I do think they will address the backup position and bring in another veteran at some point during the offseason, someone there that can not only help bring J.J. along, but be there in the event that J.J. continues to miss time, so they're not wasting. You talked about having these guys in these positions that you're wasting them in their prime. You have Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the game. You have Jordan Addison, a young up-and-coming promising player. And so So you don't want to waste those guys in their prime. So I do think they'll address it and bring in a veteran just in the event that J.J. McCarthy continues to miss time.
He is scheduled for further testing on that hand. He did have x-rays and they were negative. If we look at Jackson Dart on the other side of this one, Pete, the Giants have been a disaster, right? 38 losses over the last 3 seasons. You can't put all of that on Jackson Dart. But when you talk about trying to find a franchise guy to turn that around, do you believe that Jackson Dart can be that guy?
I do. Today was not a good day. He was awful today, to be honest with you. I mean, he was 7 of 13 for 33 yards, was sacked 5 times, and the good news is he didn't run that much, which he doesn't need to do much of because I think there's a problem for him. He's got to rein that in a little bit. The problem is when you rein it in and you stand there and you're in the pocket, do you expose your weaknesses of your game? And I think that's the reality of it for him right now. But he is their long-term answer. I don't think there's any question about that. You need a new coach in there. You need a new staff. You need a new offense. You get Neighbors back next year. You have draft picks, and you improve that roster around him. And I think he'll be better next year.
You want J.J. or you want Jackson as your quarterback?
Neither.
If you had to choose, though.
Oh, okay. See, you're giving me this again. Well, one's hurt and one's not, but then the one that's not hurt has the potential to get hurt every time.
Run.
I'll put it like this.
I'm
not sold that Jackson Dart is the guy. Truly, when I watch him play, I just don't think he's the guy. And it's a little bit of what Pete's saying, right? Whenever he tries to extend plays and use his legs and have this bat out of hell mentality, he just exposes himself to injuries. And we've already seen that. And at some point, it's not just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting the franchise. Because if you're the long-term answer, you are the most prized possession for the franchise as the starting quarterback. And if you can't protect that, that's a problem. And then you made another point. When Jackson Dart just stands in the pocket, he doesn't look like he looked at Ole Miss. He's not seeing the field and getting the ball out to different spots. Now, part of that is he doesn't have a lot of receivers that can separate and get open. I understand that. But you talk about it. When you watch guys play, you can see when they have it. I don't see it with Jackson Dart. I just see too much inconsistency. I see too much liability. And I just don't see the fundamentals that can keep you from losing before they get you to a place where you win.
The good news is he plays the Raiders next week.
Bounce back game, as we talked about earlier. Everyone, it's stepping stool.
You see my face? Giants fans, get him.
Oh, no.
No. Giants fans, I want you to get at Dame like you got at me about Jackson Dart.
Oh, wait, you did it too?
They got at me.
They did get at you.
We had to grade each first-round draft pick.
Oh, no.
I gave Jackson Dart's performance to date a C+.
Oh, no.
There are plenty college graduates that graduated with C+ that are running
degrees.
That are running corporations. C+ is fine. It is passing. They killed me.
They cooked you.
They cooked me, filleted me, just laid me out.
Man.
Giants fans, get him.
Hold on. Before we move on, though, you know what's crazy? Rand just pulled a Pete Prisco. Hey, don't look at me. Look at him. Hey, don't look at me. Hey, look at him. Yeah. Hey, don't look over here. Look over there.
They're coming for you.
They are. And Jack's already ready to clip it now. He's speaking in my ear. He's ready to clip it.
You're not wrong, though.
No.
He can't play quarterback the way he plays quarterback, right?
Go ahead, clip it, Jack.
Listen, I don't disagree with you. Mm-hmm. I trust me.
You just want him to go through what you went through.
That's all right. Hey, come on. Welcome one. Welcome all. They say if you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. I chef.
Look, here's the difference. I tend to be a little bit more chill, right? And I'm not going to give them what they're looking for. But I'm sending them to the person that's going to give them that smoke. Right? It's going to give them that smoke.
Come on now.
Not you buckling up.
Come on now. Hold on. Let me fasten up. It's right here.
You're a mean man, Mr. Grinch.
hold on. It's right here.
Get your Twitter fingers ready. We're going to hit a break here on Game Day Recap because we got plenty more to talk about.
D.Soak with a Q.
Not you giving out your Twitter handle. All right, you guys go handle Damien on Twitter. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're getting a check on the Titans who get a big win today. And we're also going to get you an update on Sunday Night Football. Some big injuries. That's next. It is halftime on Sunday Night Football between the Ravens and the Patriots. Your score 10-all. Remember, we keep talking about the playoff picture. Both of these teams kind of in opposite sides of that postseason picture, but bigger news when it comes to tonight's game. A couple of injuries. Lamar Jackson, you see his number there. He actually went to the locker room dealing with a back injury. He is questionable to return to this game. On the other side, Travion Henderson being evaluated for a head injury. So we are all knotted up at 10 with a couple of key players missing in this Sunday night football game. Fellas, I want to talk about Lamar Jackson in this scenario here. It's really been a tough season for him in terms of his health. It just seems like every single week he's been dealing with something new. Pete, the latest, a back injury now.
Yeah, and again, it's been hamstring, it's been illness, it's been ankle, everything. He just hasn't been Lamar Jackson this year. And tonight, he looked like he got off to a good start. They went right down the field, and all of a sudden, they stopped moving the football, and now he's out with a back injury. And anytime you mention back, that's a concern, no matter who you are, particularly a quarterback who runs like he does.
Yeah, and that's what makes Lamar dangerous, is his ability to be mobile, his ability to manipulate the pocket, his ability to run the football. That's what keeps defensive coordinators up all night trying to game plan, figure out how you're going to stop that. And these injuries limit his ability to do that. And so we've seen that. We've seen him not play as confident since he's returned from the injury. And now we talked about it was the hamstring that kept him out how many ever weeks it was. And then you're like, well, is that going to limit him coming back? Is he going to trust it? To me, that has led to the back hurting. And again, we don't know. He took a hit.
He took a shot.
He took a shot there, but you said he missed practice some this week.
It was an illness, though, this week.
With an illness, but he's missed some time with the back. And it seems like in recent weeks, Lamar misses a practice or two every single week. So his health is really going to be, and where he finishes is really going to be key for this Baltimore Ravens team.
It's going to be key for the rest of the season, but I don't give a damn what happens, win, lose, or draw. Going into the offseason, Lamar is going to have to sit down with a team of medical experts, whether it's the training staff of the Ravens or whoever it needs to be, and figure out why did this happen last year. Because going into next season, is running the football using his legs, that's not something he needs to focus on. Throwing the football, yes, he wants to get his timing. He needs to focus on how can I stay healthy? Because when you have this many injuries throughout the course of the year and you're affecting your team in a negative way, you just can't be on the field. And when you're on the field, you can't be the best version of yourself. That's got to be addressed. And that's going to come from the head coach. That's going to come from the top of the organization. Because, again, when you're Lamar Jackson, if you're not on the field, you're not Lamar Jackson. If you're not at 100%, you can't stay healthy throughout the course of the season, you're not Lamar Jackson. We're not the Baltimore Ravens without Lamar Jackson.
Just real quick, Dame, just want to ask you from a player perspective, is it time for Lamar, because he's traditionally trained on his own here
in South Florida.
Is it time for him to take his show back up to the facility where he can have the treatment, the body maintenance specifically for him? Is it time for him to take his show back to Baltimore in the offseason?
It is, because you want to be so aligned with your medical staff at this point. When you've dealt with this many injuries, when you miss this much time, you can't get out there and practice. Like, if I'm the organization, if I'm the Ravens, I'm almost giving him a ultimatum of you can't leave, because you're too valuable to our team and our sports science staff, our strength and conditioning staff, our nutrition staff. We need you in here with them as much as possible so they can figure out exactly how your body works, exactly how your body responds to this treatment method, to this type of food, this type of nutritional diet, whatever weight he needs to be at, whatever it is, they need to find a way to make sure Lamar Jackson is at 100% capacity as long as he can be.
Yeah, going over to Holiday Park and throwing with your friends in the summer is not the same as being around the facility. It just isn't.
Yeah, got to get healthy. The Ravens still have the Packers and the Steelers on the schedule. Remember, they are still battling not only for the division title, but also to get into the postseason. They are on the outside looking in. Our crew up in Connecticut is going to break down this Sunday night football game in just a little bit. There you see him, Joe Musso, our insider Jonathan Jones, and our Super Bowl champion Bryant B-Mac McFadden on Game Day Reset. They'll break down Sunday night football after it is over. Welcome back to Game Day Recap. This is like the earliest in 10 years. We're talking about no Kansas City Chiefs in the postseason. They are also not in the top 10 when it comes to the NFL draft order. That's because all of these teams are significantly worse than the Kansas City Chiefs were this year, despite getting eliminated from the postseason conversation. The Giants still holding on to that one spot, followed by the Raiders, Browns, Jets. Titans have moved down the list. They picked up a big win today. So let's pick up our conversation there. Because the Kansas City Chiefs, boy, they lost their quarterback, they lost their backup quarterback, and then they lost to the Titans. So the big trifecta there when it comes to Kansas City. Real quick, because I want to get into the Kansas City Chiefs side of this, but Rand, I want to give you a moment to talk about the Titans here and what you saw out of them today. A really positive result for that organization.
Cam Ward was super efficient today, took care of the football, didn't turn the ball over, and they got the ground game going. They had Tony Pollard went over 100 yards again. Tajay Spears ran the ball well, and that offensive line was just able to push that Kansas City Chiefs defense up front, which we hadn't seen them do a whole bunch this season. And so knowing for a team coming into a game, knowing for sure that there's no Patrick Mahomes, and you're going to be a little bit more aggressive in how you take your approach and you going after the quarterback. And like you mentioned, to lose your backup quarterback to what is being reported as a potential ACL, and now you're down to your third quarterback, a guy who hadn't played a ton of ball in this league. It just gives you an opportunity to win the football game, and the Titans were able to capitalize.
It is interesting, too. We see the Titans continue to move down that draft board. They had the #1 overall pick a few weeks ago. Now they're up to #5. You mentioned Patrick Mahomes. We know he is done for the season. That leads me to the next question when it comes to Travis Kelce, because there's already been so many questions swirling about whether or not this is going to be his last year. We know he's getting married. We know he's getting a little bit older. Leading up to this game, he's been asked about this, and he talked about how his mentality these last couple of games is just, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to give it my all because I don't know what the future holds. Pete, when you think about the potential of Patrick Mahomes missing the beginning of the season at the very least, working back from that ACL injury, do you smell retirement when it comes to Travis Kelce, or you think he's going to get back up there and run it back one more time with Patrick?
No, I think he's done.
This is it?
I think he's done. I think his skills have eroded. I mean, he's not awful, but his skills have eroded some. And I think he knows he doesn't want to be that old guy hanging on just to hang on. As great as that sounds to try and go run it back, are they going to be able to competitor next year with Patrick Mahomes maybe missing a month or month and a half of the season? And if he comes back, how's he going to play? They're not going to be a competitive team, so it's going to be another year before they can regroup. And I don't know if Kelsey's going to hang around for that. I think he retires.
Man, go be a billionaire.
Right.
Go on.
Or a billionaire
tour.
husband.
Yeah.
which makes you a billionaire.
Yeah.
Which makes you a billionaire.
In some cases, it might not.
Just
There
go
could
on.
be a little prenup in there, a little
prenup.
signature.
Go on
She could
tour.
cap that speed.
Go on tour. Go visit Australia, New Zealand, wherever Taylor Swift takes the Swifties. Go be in the crowd. Go be supportive. Go be a cheerleader. Hey, listen, Travis Kelce, it's always been about him, right? He's been the athlete. It's always been about him and his production. Go be a supporter.
He's going to be
time.
on a network somewhere.
It's time.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And his contract is up after this season.
Yeah.
Right.
So I
Would
don't
you
think he'll be
resign
back.
him?
No. Sometimes it's just best to do the hard thing and say, hey, man, this is time for us to part ways. And like Haley said, especially not knowing if Patrick Mahomes is going to be available. If you're him, and especially seeing today's performance out of the quarterback position, it's like, do you want to subject yourself to that at that age?
Well, you said, I know you gave us a little bit of insight, and you said you pull him to the side and you're like, hey, man, it's time to part ways. But from the GM perspective, a guy like Travis Kelce, who's given so much to this organization, he's one of the all-time greats, especially at his position. What does that conversation actually look like?
No, the conversation is whether it's immediately after the season, because you have exit meetings, as you know. You
Right.
have exit meetings, and you literally meet with every single individual player, and you talk about the year, you talk about the offseason and what's to come. Now, usually guys who are on expiring contracts that you may not have reached an agreement with, you let them know, hey, look, we plan to continue to have conversations with your team, and we're trying to get something done. We want you back here for the foreseeable future. Now, a guy like Travis Kelce, who, like you said, has done so much for the organization, will be a Hall of Fame player one day. That's when you have the conversation, hey, look, man, this is where we are as an organization. We're really about to hit this reset button in a way that we haven't, and we haven't been afforded to. And we think right now the best thing is for us is to move forward without you. Now, how that looks for us, again, you'll be a free agent if you still want to play, then absolutely go ahead and do your thing. But we'd love for you to retire one day as a Kansas City Chief, whether that's now or whether that's in the future.
But for this year, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
I was going to say, damn, cold. You give him a hug? You going to dabble him? I'm playing.
No, nicest guy ever to cut it.
Right.
In
Hey,
all
man, his time.
In all honesty, you got to have those type of conversations because I know you, Dame. I've gotten to know you as a person. You rather me have that conversation with you face to face, whether I was rude or whether I was nice, versus letting you walk out of the building thinking it was one thing, and then we're back here planning to find your replacement without you being aware.
Plus, the cachet, he's earned the right to have that conversation, to come in and just spell it out for him and say, look, you're not part of the plan. We want to make this look good. You want to retire here? Great. We'll have a big ceremony for you, and off you go. I think he's earned the right to have
Listen, and you guys have said, and I know you're being tongue-in-cheek, with his marriage, his high-profile marriage, and, just her net worth and what she's been able to do. He's made a ton of money playing the game. Of course. And with his platform that him and his brother have, they have made a ton of money. He can make so much more money doing other things while allowing his body to heal and just take advantage of life moving forward.
And don't tarnish your legacy. Your legacy is one of the all-time great tight ends ever. Don't tarnish it by hanging on too long.
He has tied Jerry Rice for most consecutive seasons with 800-plus receiving yards in NFL history. That is 12 seasons. So obviously, to your point, the legacy there, whatever he decides, certainly has been fun to be a part of it and to see it unfold. Excited for the wedding, shamelessly, whenever that happens as well, too. All right, time for we got to talk about the Falcons. I almost jumped right past the Falcons and Bijan Robinson. They get a big win over the Cardinals today. A couple of injury in this one to talk about. Walter Nolan game with a knee injury. Josh Sweat also had an ankle injury, the bigger injury there, Walter Nolan. But if we keep the conversation on the Falcons, specifically Bijan Robinson, we talk about a lot when we think about the prototypical football player and what you want to build on offense for a football player. And Bijan Robinson certainly crosses that list. What impresses you about what he's able to do out there?
Everything. I mean, when you watch him play, it's literally everything. It's his burst and acceleration. It's the way he glides through the holes. He's a bigger back, but he almost runs like James Cook at times, where it's like he's so slippery, he's so smooth in the way he runs. He's so fluent. He's got such soft hands in the passing game. He made a catch today, and we were, wow, that was a hell of a catch. Not one that running backs typically make, but his hands are soft, and then whenever he gets the ball in his hands, you're always holding your breath because you know whether he's surrounded by 4 or 5 defenders, he can still find a way out of that, whether it's being elusive, whether it's breaking through a tackle, whether it's just running through guys and them not touching them. He's got that explosive playability, and really he's been the only consistent bright spot for the Falcons all year, and really moving forward, they've just got to continue to build around him.
What about on the other side of this one when it comes to the Cardinals of it? We know that it's been a roller coaster for Kyler Murray. Kind of feels like that ship has sailed. And then the coaching situation here with Jonathan Gannon. We have not talked a lot about what he has or what he has not done really this year in Carolina. Pete, is this a situation where you think Gannon's on the hot seat?
Oh, there's no question he's on the hot seat. The question becomes whether this is an organization that doesn't like to spend a lot of money usually, and are they willing to eat the money on his contract? And the answer to that probably is going to be yes. I think there's a real push in Arizona to get him out now. Remember, they were the fun story. They played competitive games, and they were playing a lot of tight football games and losing close games. But now I think it's gotten to the point where it's so bad that I don't think they're going to bring him back. And look, the roster's not great. The injuries have just crippled them. And they have a quarterback issue in a big way. And so it's hard to coach that, but I'd be shocked if he comes back next year.
I'm not so sure that they're gone because in the one thing, you talked about it earlier, coach quarterback, right? And how important that was. And him and GM Monty Ossenfort, they inherited Kyler Murray and his contract. So they have not had the ability to pick their own quarterback to date. And so I wonder if that will be something that they can use in terms of their bargaining chip, so to speak, when meeting with Michael Bidwell, the owner there, and saying, hey, we took this job with a quarterback in place that we didn't necessarily, and I'm just speaking for them, not saying they feel this way, that we didn't necessarily believe in or we wanted as our number one guy. We need the opportunity to have our own guy, be able to draft our own guy. And we mentioned them earlier. Right now, they're sitting in the 6th spot. Now, they're going to have to mortgage the future to kind of potentially move up in that top 2 spots to take a quarterback. But that's one spot that they're definitely going to have to address moving forward.
He signed a 5-year contract in February of 2023. But obviously, there's quarterback questions. You both mentioned it. The roster also kind of in shambles here, too. So we'll all have to wait and see, just like we do each and every week. Okay. Now it's time for our final break here on Game Day Recap. We normally do winners and losers. This week, in the spirit of Christmas, we're telling you our naughty and nice list. No surprise, DK Metcalf has made someone's naughty list after his antics today. We'll tell you the full slate next. Time to wrap up the show. Today we're doing the naughty and nice list. In the spirit of Christmas, our final Sunday show before Christmas later this week. So let's stay festive here. We'll start with our Grinch, Pete Prisco. Let's start with the nice list. Who's on your nice list this week?
I'm the Grinch.
Well, only because I called you the Grinch earlier.
That's okay.
Continuity.
Yes. I'll take that as a compliment.
Continuity. You are pretty Grinchy.
We definitely could call you worse.
Yeah. You should hear what we call you when you're not.
Okay, I'm going to put you all on the naughty list.
the 8 weeks you weren't here.
Oh, my God. Who's nice, Pete? Who's nice?
My nice is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 11-4
Surprise.
in first place. Trevor Lawrence answered a ton of questions today. He went on the road, beat the Broncos, threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for 1. They're legitimate, and you know what? It's time all the people out there to finally give them the respect they deserve.
And I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings defense. Listen, I get it. I know they played the Giants today that have been struggling. They did have 5 sacks today. But I am giving them the nice list today because they've only allowed 1 passing TD in the last 7 games. And listen to some of these quarterbacks, Damien, that they faced in these last 7 weeks. Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, and now Jackson Dart. And of all those guys, Dak Prescott is the only one to have over 200 yards passing. So this defense is playing lights out. So kudos to you, Brian Flores, and your defensive group.
I'm going Bryce Young because he's nice. We saw the Bryce magic today. Listen, he's building something in Carolina. The guys are surrounding him. He showed a lot of leadership, a lot of poise through a lot of adversity. And now we're starting to see him make the plays that you like seeing big-time quarterbacks make. So I'm going Bryce Young.
I like that. I'm going Bijan Robinson. I feel like Bijan is not a guy that you can just grab off the shelf and put him in. He is one of a kind. He is breaking records left and right. This was his 3rd game of the season with 75-plus rushing yards, 75-plus receiving yards. That is tied for the most in NFL history. He's got a lot of Falcons records along the way, too. So I'm really loving what Bijan Robinson is doing. He is on my nice list. As for my naughty list, I'm going Jackson Dart. My fella, you did not complete a single pass until the end of the second quarter. You finished the day 7 of 13, 33 passing yards, and a 27.4 passer rating. Santa is bringing you coal and maybe a better playbook because, come on, my bud. You can't go out there and do that. Not completing a pass until the second quarter.
I've never heard you go that hard before.
Wow.
It's the cowboy in me, maybe.
Wow.
Angry.
Wow. Well, I am going with DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf. Come on, bro. You got to be better than that, especially because you got to set an example to these kids. And the example to set is not when somebody comes up and says the wrong thing, you just take a punch. It's not whenever you've got this platform and you make all this money and people look up to you, you let them down like that. Can't let it happen, DK Metcalf. You're going to get some cold for that.
You gave him his whole name, too, his government name.
DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf. Hopefully I don't get punched in the face, though.
Be careful.
I'm going with the Tampa Bay Bucks. And simply put, this was a gotta-have-it game. Now, I know there's still an opportunity for you to close it out, but you talk about being a potential championship-level team. People have picked you to go to the Super Bowl with the amount of talent that you have, and you had a chance to go out there and win this football game and put yourself in prime position to control your own destiny, and you weren't able to do it. Jack, I'm sorry, buddy. This is your team, so I'm pretty sure that you had them on the naughty list as well. But Tampa Bay Bucks, I know you still got a chance. I believe in you, but today you didn't get it done.
Do you?
And I hope that
I do.
Dan Campbell has a stocking hanging where Santa can go throw a situational football book in there so he can learn situational football. His team lost by 5 today. Early in the game, they had a 4th and goal from the 3, and they decided to pass on a field goal. They were down 3-0. They didn't get it. So what happens at the end of the game? They happen to need that field goal. It came back and bit him, and now his team might not make the playoffs. Dan Campbell, you got to learn to love field goals.
Our international kicker representation here on the desk, Pete Prisco.
Oh, I hate the kickers. I just love the situation and try and kick it.
Kick it on 4th down, Dan Campbell. All right, we went a little late here on Game Day Recap, but still so much fun along the way. Listen to the Christmas music, by the way, like in the back ground. That's going to do it for this Sunday's edition, Week 16, almost in the books. Sunday Night Football wrapping up. I hope you have safe and happy holidays with your family. Happy holidays to my awesome co-hosts as well. And we will see you guys next week. I hope you get on the nice list this week when Santa comes to visit.
No chance for Pete.
Yeah, he's out of there.
I'm the Grinch.